Hello, it's time to start the summer of the lead sheet. We will be working on we'll be working on developing full legit arrangements from from melody and chords. And so let me get my thing posted over here on the website. The website is jollyrogerukulele.com. And we're going to be moving into this sort of next level thinking on ukulele, where we spent quite a bit of time over the last year working on just playing, right? Just playing what's presented, thinking through musically whether what's on the paper makes sense. Is it the best thing to put on the paper? And then we're also looking for, how come my stream is not setting up? It's crazy. I don't know why it's not setting up. Everything looks good. Start streaming. I am streaming. Nothing's coming out of the computer. Shoot. Shoot. Let me get rid of this. Oh goodness. Nothing's happening here. Guys, are you able to see the stream? I can't see it on my end. Let's see. Cindy looks like she's in. Jerry's in. We can hear you. But I'm invisible, right? You're not seeing me. Is that correct? You can hear me but not see me. Is that what's going on? Yeah, because you're supposed to be able to see me. What if I disconnect this and put this here? Let's see, try that. Let's see if that makes a difference. Guys, let me know if you can see me and hear me. Oh, you can see me. We can see and hear you. Oh, okay. Fine. Lovely. All right. Perfect. That's what we're going to do then. I can't see me, so which is probably to my benefit, right? Let me make sure the link must be working. You guys are all rolling in here. Let's see. Okay, looks like it's working. If I hit this, all right, looks like I'm working. All right, so let me switch back over to the other camera. Turn this camera off and turn this camera on. All right, so theoretically you can see me, I just can't see myself, and all you guys are here, so that's a good sign. All right, let me know if that changes. For some reason it's not showing my video feed here at all, and so whatever. That's fine. Linda, good morning. Jerry, how are you? Lynn, perfect weather, New Jersey. Shut up, Lynn. We have horrible weather here in Denver. 41 degrees, cloudy for the last couple of days, snow overnight. We're going to come out to New Jersey and pick a fight with you, Lynn. Cindy's in. Howdy from Viking Land. I'm north of Colfax. Good to see you. You can hear me. Jerry says you can hear me. Linda, welcome back, everyone. It's Sunday, 66 degrees, so it's better in Vancouver than it is here in Denver. That's all we need to know, Denverites. Michelle made it back from Rockaway Beach, Oregon. A lot of you guys were wandering the streets last week with nothing to do. Red made it in. 4 p.m. is wonderful. Good. Oh, okay. Let's see. Red, I don't remember when we left off. Let's start you with the drum today. That's for Red. Jerry, and you can both see me a lot. Michelle, all right, yes, we can see and hear you. Good. Terry in from across the street. Snow has melted. Cheeseman Park in Denver. I think, yeah, I know. It's warm enough to barely melt it. Goodness sakes, Terry. Where are we living? Crazy times around here. Let's see. Linda sees me. Terry, we see you. Okay, Jerry. All right, okay, I can see and hear. Okay, all right, you guys can see me. That's good. Is it good? I don't know. Wouldn't it be better? Maybe I should just do podcasts. All right, here, just do this. Let's see. Now I'm closer. Okay, I changed up my. So Carol says that she's been now officially taking classes for 1 year. Did you? Her Garyversary. Very funny, Carol. Are you playing any better than you were a year ago? I guess that's the question, right? That's the fundamental question. Are you better today than you were a year ago? Vicky is in from Bozeman. Good to see you. Elizabeth can see you closer now and hear you. Yeah, I like the wider camera. Ronnie and I try to like to get hooked up with Ronnie this weekend, and so we go to lunch or something. And my weekend turned out to be a bit of well, my mother-in-law's experienced some health issues, and it's not good, and we ended up having to make a whole bunch of other stuff and family and all this, and all of a sudden 5 days went poof just like that. So Ronnie, sorry I didn't get a chance to catch up with you. We are going to be coming down a lot, so that will change in the future. I'll catch up with you one of these days. Jerry, Midwestern gloom in our van. I know, right? We feel like we're from Midwest. Hey, Kat, glad we're back. Jackie still down at Padre Island, Jacqueline. Good for you. Janice showed up late to the last class, so this is her punishment class. Great weather in Connecticut. You guys are winning. Antonio is in. Vic is in. From sunny Eugene. Yeah, right. My family's headed back to. We just got back into Eugene last night late. Sandy is here. Good afternoon, Sandy. And all right, good. Carol's year-long commitment has made some. And 84 degrees is freezing down in Florida, and it's going to rain. Oh, Nancy, you have a terrible weather day. All right, guys, we'll talk about the schedule here. There's some changes and some things I'm thinking about, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, we're going to pull up Blackbird, okay? And we're going to study it on ukulele, and those of you on baritone will know that you have a very similar situation. So this is the summer of the lead sheet, and what I am thinking for you is that we've had a whole year of videos here. So if we've had a whole year of digging into playing ukulele at this different level. It has made sense for a handful of you. We have a tiny following here at Jolly Roger Ukulele, mostly because I'm terrible at marketing, but also because what you're doing is incredibly difficult. And so what you are doing is sort of this way of playing ukulele that is the best way to play it, the most versatile. You will be the smartest musicians. You'll be able to take the information you have from this class, and you'll be able to apply it to any other instrument. So you will be able to pick up a guitar. You'll be able to pick up a banjo. You'll be able to pick up a mandolin. You will be able to pick up, frankly, you'll be able to go sit down at the piano or grab a harmonica or play an accordion, because all of this stuff, all of music's the same once you understand the concepts that are hanging out underneath it, the mathematical basis for what we're doing. And so hopefully your skill set has now come up to the point where you're like, all right, I would like to do this goofy song that I knew from my teenage years. And you send me a note and you say, hey, I'd like to do Purple Rain. And I say, that's a dumb song on ukulele. You're not going to want to do it. And you're going to be like, yes, it is. It is not a stupid song. You're stupid. And you're going to try to arrange it yourself. I want you to have those skills in place and so from now through summer, we're going to be talking a lot about taking music and arranging it and finding out what things you need and what things you don't, and how to approach a piece of music to make you in charge of your complete musical experience. So in other words, if you'd like I don't know, pick a band, Whitesnake from 1993, and you want to arrange a song, that you kissed your first boyfriend to or whatever, you will have the skills to do that, and you'll know the process I go through to create sheet music. And most of the time I don't have a time to arrange the songs you want to arrange, because I'm so busy arranging the songs I want to arrange. And so if all of us are doing it, we will be able to dramatically increase the amount of music that is arranged well. And we start with just figuring out the pieces and parts you need. So most of you come from the world where sheet music looks like this, right? You have your chords and your words, and occasionally, if you're lucky, when you go there, they give you some of the chord shapes, or maybe of the more difficult chords. But this is what sheet music looks like when you get started in ukulele. It shows you some chords, it gives you some lyrics, and then you're happy as a clam for a while. But pretty soon you figure out that you are stuck in a loop. It's the same C chord, the same F chord, the same G chord, the same this, and you're playing songs which initially are a great joy. You're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could do this on ukulele. I didn't know you could do that on ukulele. And pretty soon everything sounds the same, right? And you end up going to strum along, and they're playing songs from Appalachia which are hilarious, but you've never heard before, and so somebody in the group has to sing it and all this stuff. And so you end up in kind of this this what I call a cul-de-sac of music. It's this great place to be. It's super fun. It's great for going to lunch and having a beer and all that stuff. But it's not the main highway of music, and that's why you end up here. And in here, what we're working on a lot of times is some pretty hard stuff where we're taking things and blowing them up and then putting them back together, and that's exactly what I have to do every time I start an arrangement. So hopefully you are at the point where you can take all of these sheets of music that you put in that 3-ring binder and you can just unhook the thing and put them all in the trash can. The internet will be more than happy to provide you with unlimited supply of chords and lyrics. There's no song out there, very few songs that you are likely to want to play that don't have chords and lyrics already sitting on the internet somewhere for free. So that part we put aside. Okay, what we really want to talk about is when we tackle a song that we have the melody, and you hear me say it all the time. I'm such a psycho about it. Look at there, I just magically now showed up on my own screen. How funny! That's so crazy. There I am. I'm so good looking. The reason I'm such a psycho about melody is melody is the driver of every single thing that we do on the ukulele when we're playing at this high level. In music, you really have 4 pieces of the puzzle. You have timbre, and that's what it overall sounds like. So I can play a C chord on a ukulele, and I can play a C chord on a piano, and they sound very different, even though it's exactly the same notes. So timbre-wise, you're either playing a high G ukulele, a low G ukulele, or a baritone. Some of you play all of those, and some of you play a couple of those, right? But that's the timbre. That's the overall sound you're going to make. Then in music, there's rhythm, right? And so on this piece, it's Blackbird singing in the dead of night. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that was a bad example because that was a 3 and a 4. But it's this. That's your rhythm. In hip hop, which they changed the name from rap because rap wasn't selling as many albums as they wanted to, they changed it to hip hop, so it made moms and dads less nervous. That's all they have in that. They have lyrics and they have the rhythm. Okay, and it's surprisingly complex. It's why drummers spend their whole lives trying to get better, because rhythm is super complex. In ukulele, we pretty much think of it as either 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes 6, 8, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? So rhythm has a tendency to be a little bit less complex when we're playing on this instrument, but that doesn't necessarily hold true. You guys know who are doing the jazz class. We often have times where the rhythm is a little bit crazy and hard to deal with. So that's the second part of music. The third part of music is the melody. That's the part you sing in the shower, and it's why when you guys send me a note and say, "Hey, can we do this song?" and I think, purple rain, I have no idea what else is in that song, oddly enough, after listening to it 10,000 times. That's the only part of the song that anybody knows. So it's not a likely candidate to be on the ukulele. It just doesn't have enough melody to hold it together. And then finally there's chords, which is the thing that we start you on ukulele, which should be the last thing. It's also the thing that's the most adaptable. A lot of times I will set up a song and the sheet music I'm working from says, here are the chords you should use. And so rarely do I actually use those chords in there entirely. I change them out, we adjust them, we make them cooler, we make them less cool, we do different things with the chords, and we create. So those are the 4 parts of music that I deal with. Now you're thinking, all right, Blackbird, I wish you'd stop talking, we could just play it. For the next 3 months, let's agree that we're going to talk about the foundations and the structure under which we're building Blackbird, okay, or whatever song it is of the day. And you're going to end up going home for just a little bit and doing a tiny bit of work on it. Let's talk the melody. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is read through and play the melody. Now, where do I get the melody? I don't get it from a tablature. I get it from standard notation. Okay, so if I'm going to play Blackbird, I used to spend hours and hours figuring it out from these. I don't waste my time anymore. I go straight to musicnotes.com. I type in Blackbird and I ask it for, and I look through my choices in terms of which piece of sheet music I'm going to use, and then I pay $4.99 and I get the song. Occasionally I can go out on the internet and find a copy. The super popular bands like Beatles, you can easily find the sheet music just laying around on the internet. It's against the law, but it is out there, and so just know that most of the time I just go buy it from musicnotes.com because I don't have time to waste on these sort of pirated versions out there. But I have, you know, a fake book of the Beatles stuff. It has almost every song they ever wrote in there, and that was sitting on the internet for free. So sometimes I'll actually go to that and use it. But of course, if it's free, you got to question whether it's any good, and a lot of times it's not. Now, I'm going to type in the music, right? And eventually, later this summer, we will have a MuseScore class where I teach you how to use the software that's free. I don't use that myself, but I do know if those of you guys that are starting in the business of wanting to write a little bit of your own music, you're going to need a piece of software, and I have one that's free that's pretty good, okay? So I type in all of my notes just like they are on whatever sheet of music that I'm pulling it off of, and now I have the melody theoretically. So let's play through that. The first part of this is just an introduction, and then we're going to play from measure 5 down to measure 12. Then we're going to come back to 5. We're going to play down the second time through all the way to 18. At 18, we're going to come back to 5, and we're going to play the whole thing, right? So we come back to 5 a couple of times. So let's just start it. Make sure this makes sense in your ear. Okay, so when I'm starting a piece of music, I type in the melody and then I play the melody on the ukulele to make sure it sounds right in my ear. Now, normally my first run through, because I know the standard notation where those notes show up on my ukulele, I have a little bit of a head start. I don't need the tablature right off the bat. I can just read the standard notation. But I will always make sure you guys have the tablature, because I don't necessarily think that's 100% required to be a good arranger or a good musician. We have tablature. It works wonderful, and software is happy to provide you with the corresponding tablature from the standard notation. So I've typed in the standard notation. I'm going to go through and play it. You're going to play with me, whole song, just the melody as written. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 4, 1, 2. 2, 3, major 5. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 4, 1, 2. 2, next page. 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Now we'll go back to 5. Ready, play. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 2, 3, major 13. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I have a blank. Okay, so then the first question I have is, let's see, who just wanted in? Junior Uke, J.R. Uke following small but mighty. Junior Uke, small but mighty, right? Chris is in, Laurel's in. I decided to file my income tax. Laurel's going to go ahead and pay the government. But Patty's in. Hey, Patty. Clay made it in, and Arlo made it in. All right. So now your next one. Don't get ahead of me. Okay. Stick with me on melody for just a moment because we're going to talk chords here in just a second. Now, does it sound like the song? Close enough, right? Maybe not exactly. And I know those of you guys who grew up and the Beatles were your band. There's about a 20-year period where the Beatles were your band, and you don't like anything that's not exactly what's on the recording, but you could live with that arrangement. You could live with that melody. I do a lot of times. I have to talk to Beatles people, and I'll say, "Okay, Beatles people, I know you listen to those songs 50,000 times in your life." And when you pick up a ukulele, you think, I want to play the Beatles on the ukulele. And you're having to squish John, Paul, George, and Ringo. You have to take all four of those guys, squish them down, and stick them into here, okay? And they don't fit all of the time. And sometimes you have to make compromises. You have to make a slight adjustment here and there. And so a lot of times when you are doing the Beatles, you got to approach this with a little bit of like, okay, I can accept a small variation in the tune. And so, but you can hear what you got there. You got the big idea. And so we're going to live with this melody. Okay. Now, the other thing that I will recommend for you, if you are ever at a dinner party and there are people, I'd say 63-ish or so, maybe 60 and up, say something along the lines of, I just really don't think that John Lennon was a very good songwriter. And then just watch what happens. Everybody's sphincter just instantly clenches up in there, and you're like, I don't think they're allowed to say that out loud. So the joke is over now, but it used to be hilarious to watch in the orchestra. I'd be like, oh, we're not going to do the Beatles. They're not that good. And just watch the entire orchestra sort of seize up because that has never been spoken in their lifetime. So that's the younger baby boomer joke that you can make, and it's a hit every time, I promise. To question John and Paul is just simply not in anybody's realm of experience. I'm just helping you out with your comedy routine. Now, we have taken that band and we've distilled it down into these specific notes. That's the melody. Now, a lot of times people are wondering, why is Gary such a psycho about a melody? Because from that melody, all of the chords magically will pop out. All of the stuff that happens in music comes from the melody, and it can't get that far away from where the chords are. It gets a little bit away. You could turn this into a jazz piece if you wanted to by really thinking through your chords a little bit more weirdly. But you can't have one set of completely random chords versus this melody. It just doesn't work. So the chords come out of the melody. Now, when we're talking about how to best put this together then, and this is going to be your homework for the night, is everywhere there's a chord on this paper, you're going to sit down either with your pencil or just with your instrument and talk through how much of that chord can I fit underneath these melody notes. Okay, this is where the magic will happen. Hey, Critter, welcome in, Antonio. Antonio's laughing at the Beatles joke. By the way, I do like that. For the record, I do like the Beatles. I do not like them as much as the Tin Pan Alley stuff. They were basically doing what happened in Tin Pan Alley, and the same thing. Really solid melodies with cute little storylines. I don't think they came anywhere near the stature of that era of music, but I do think they're pretty good, right? The other nice thing about the Beatles is they sound great on almost every instrument. So, in other words, they were writing quality stuff that does work, and we're lucky to have them. I will remind you that you all like the top 10 of theirs, and the other 300 that they wrote are, I don't know about that song. All right, so now let's walk through the Tuff uke with these chords in mind. So the first note's a 0. The first note's a chord, and the melody note's a 0. Well, so if I put my G chord on, and I'm going to be playing that 0, okay, this is your first chord. Okay? And then your next note is a 2, but it's underneath an A7. So you can put your A7 on and hold the 2 down, strum that. Okay, sounds right. Next note's this 3, and the chord is a C. Okay, now take a moment here. This is not an unimportant moment in the song. In the melody, it's 4 beats. It just carries through. But the bandmates, probably Paul and George, I'm like, who's the other guy? Switched chords there, okay? Okay, so Paul changed the bass note. He probably didn't have to change the bass note. It's a C going to a C minor, but George or John had to put in the other chord, right? So it's going to be, you start with your G chord with an open 0, A7 with a 2, and then a C chord 003, and then the chord changes to a C minor. So you don't need the tie as a ukulele player because you're going to hit these notes again. Okay, get your C minor in there. And by the way, baritone, all of your sheet is identical except the names of the chords are different. Okay, then you've got a G chord, right? And you've got the 3, and you're like, okay, I can hit that 3 times. There's that 0. I lift that up. Okay, and then I've got under A7, I have a 2 0. 3 zeros. Now I've got a 0 in the middle of measure 3 that's underneath a C chord. So if I have a C chord but I have a 0 on the top string, I just strum it open. And then a 003, and then 002, and then 0000, and then I put my G chord on, and I have the 3 as my melody note. Okay. Got it. Now that's step 1, right? All right, so the thing totally works. So let me play it just what I just did. I'm going to strum the full chord underneath the melody note each time. Okay, now that works, but not great. Okay, it's too much strumming, too much chording in there, too much, just overdoing it, right? So I start to go back, and then I say, all right, chords work, melody works, everybody's happy. I need to go through and take out some of the nonsense. I want it to make it feel a little more human. So that first chord, I don't see any way around it. And then I already have to switch chords, and then I have to switch chords again, and then I have to switch chords again. Okay, but now I have a G chord and a whole bunch of notes. I'm probably going to put a chord in on the first one and then just pluck the rest of it. Right? So you don't need to hit a chord on every single one. It's too much. Then I've got an A7 with the 2. I'm probably going to hit that first chord, and then I'm just going to play the melody. And now I have the new chord at the C. It's open, which is lovely. Okay, so as you go through tonight and you're thinking about, hey, you can either just do it with your instrument and not write anything down, or you can sit down with a pencil and put in what you intend to do underneath it. So every single time there's a chord, you're going to write down part of that chord underneath that melody note. Otherwise, your audience won't know you've switched chords. And there is a place in this song where we're going to switch chords, but we're not going to use the chord. You'll see when it comes up. You'll be like, yeah, I'm not putting a chord underneath that. It's too hard to play, right? And sometimes you will not use a chord because it just makes playing it so much more difficult. But this intro, you can use every one of these chords and you can put it in underneath the melody. So let's do that from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. C minor, D, G chord, A7, C chord. Okay, see what we're working on there? So you guys have already been through a million times where we have played Tuff Uke, all written out for you. You know exactly how that feels and what it looks like on the paper. Now all I'm doing is not doing that part. I will do the job for you, by the way, so don't freak out if you're like, I don't know what he's talking about. Because tomorrow I'll bring in my version. You're going to compare it to your version. Not that mine's better or worse. It's probably going to be a little different, right? But I picked this song specifically because it's short enough where you should be able to do the whole song tonight, theoretically, and then we can talk about, here's what Gary's doing, here's what you're doing, strengths and weaknesses of each, right? Now, one of the things I notice, measure 4. If I'm on ukulele, moment to arrive, 2, 3, 4, right? Maybe my ukulele carries through those 4 beats, maybe it doesn't, depending on the quality of the instrument. 2, 3, 4. Mine sort of carries through, but it's pretty quiet by the time you get to beat 4 and are ready to move into measure 5. So I almost always, guys, and I know this gets to be a bit weird, but it works. If I hit moment to arrive, thonk, 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 right? So whatever chord I'm holding, I just put a little mini arpeggio, bunk, 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 starting on the 3rd string. Bunk. Now I've got some extra stuff in there. One, it helps me count the measure, the number of beats in the measure. It also fills in this really quiet spot. Our instrument needs a little bit of help in terms of sustain, so a lot of times I put in decorative notes just to keep music coming out of your instrument and to give you something to do. Because if you go moment to arrive, and then you'll kind of look at your audience while you're waiting for the 4 beats to pass, it's just not necessarily great. And you don't have to do it up. Sometimes I do it down, or bounce it around or whatever. I'd want to make sure any decorative notes I put in don't compete with the melody. And so sometimes ukulele in particular, it's very easy to hit high notes because you have the high note on the top string and a high note on the bottom string. So it's easy to end up with a situation where they compete with one another. And so you think that through. Let's play that first 4 measures again and try to add in that little G flourish at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the basic principles of what I want you to work on tonight with your ukulele or after class here or whenever you got a minute. I will give you a fully done Tuff-er, and I think this is pretty much how summer's going to work. I'm going to hand out the lead sheet. You're going to have a day to work on it, and then I will present you with what I think the Tuff-er got to be. Your goal would be to write better stuff than Gary writes. I kind of have a formula. I kind of create pretty vanilla arrangements almost all the time. They work. They sound great. Once in a while I hit a home run, but for the most part, just cranking them out. They sound amazing. They're really fun to play, but you will get the kind of the Gary approach to writing arrangements. And let's create your approach to arranging, which will, at least at this moment, we're putting you into a format, and you're going to do my format. But then over time, you'll be able to start thinking about it as a musician and as an artist. Does that make the most sense for me? Do I want to do that all of the time too? Right now, let's move on to measure 5. Measure 5 is interesting because it's a 3/4 measure, and the whole entire rest of the song is 4/4. So you may have something unique come up there. Notice you got a G chord on the first beat, a C chord on the second beat, a G chord on the third beat, and then at measure 6, you have a G chord that's going to last for 4 beats. Okay, so I grab my G chord, and I see I got a whole bunch of 3s coming up, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm already holding down the 3. I'm going to hit this Blackbird, and I can either do Blackbird or I could just do Blackbird, which is probably going to make more sense. I don't necessarily like a chord on every single strum, right? It feels a little heavy that way. You guys that took my foundations class, you'll remember 3 Blind Mice. Every single note has the full chord underneath it, and it feels very heavy. 3 blind mice strum, 3 blind mice strum, right? It feels a little bit too heavy, where you might go 3 blind mice. I don't remember how those. 3 blind. You know what I'm talking about. G chord, Blackbird. Then you're going to switch to your C chord. Just take these other fingers off. Sing that in the, right? And it feels a little bit lighter that way, like you're mixing chords and melody together. And then you got this G chord to get the last 3. Pinky up on 5. Dead of night. Okay. Probably want to hit dead of night. Okay, let's try that. Just that one little section. G, C, G, G. 1, 2, 3. Okay, see where I'm working there? Blackbird singing in the dead another 4-beat measure with one note in it. Fill it in. You're already holding a G chord down. 2, 3. Now you could hit that 5 again, but it's going to compete with the melody, so you could drop your pinky off and just hit a 2 there. But that 2 competes with the next note, which is already a 2, so why not just do 2, 3, 2. So just play your inner strings there. That way then your decorative notes don't compete with the melody in any way. They're always lower than either the 5 you just played or the 2 you're about to play. Just keep them in these middle strings here. Then that doesn't compete with the melody. Okay, so let's play those 2 measures again. 1, 2, 3. Here's what's super annoying about music. Your chord is a C chord, so there should be a 3 there. But the Beatles decided they needed a B note there, so it's a B, right? So you're going to play a 2 underneath a C, and then you're like, well, that's not right. That's not how this is supposed to work. But then you think, oh, wait, that's going to be a C major 7th. That's going to sound amazing at this moment, right? So put your C chord on, but your melody is a 2, so you got to change it out, just like in Spaghetti Monster, 0002. Play that. Oh, doesn't that sound cool? Hit that 3 by itself, maybe. And then an A7. Your melody notes is 0. Put your A7 underneath it. Okay. Tip broken. And then your wings is under the D7. So grab your D7. It's also a 0, so it works out perfectly. Okay. And then you've got this 3. And you're like, well, none of my fingers want to do that. Just put your ring finger on. Play the 3 by itself. And then you have this D sharp minor. And you're like, I hate D sharp diminished. But if you just put that shape on, your pinky's already holding down the 3. When you see a diminished chord in ukulele, almost always the melody is going to be sitting right underneath your pinky. Almost always. Not every time, but it's surprising how often it works. So strum that. And then I would just push my pinky up to the 5 to get that. And then look what happens. You got a 2 is your next melody note, and you're sitting on top of an E minor. So put your E minor on. Magic, right? So this is why people like to study Beatles. Works out pretty good. Hit your E minor and the 2. And then you just switch your chord to a G chord and hit that second 2. Okay. The melody is just one solid 2, but as an arranger, you don't care about that. You've hit the melody note. Now what are you going to do for the rest of the measure? And I'm going to hit that 2 twice, but I'm switching the chords in the middle. Fly. Okay, that's what I'm doing as an arranger. Okay, so let's play those 4 chords or those 4 bars there. 1, 2, 3. G chord. Okay, and then we've already written what's cool, right? We wrote the intro already. This is just the intro repeated, so we don't need to do anything other than exactly what we did at the intro. We've already written it. So go to measure 9, middle finger up on a G chord, play. C minor, G chord, A7 with a 2, D chord, 2, and then G chord. Okay, now the first question you have is, well, up at the top it's a C and down here it's a D. What the heck's going on? You told us it was the same. Well, it's not exactly the same, right? And in music, and the Beatles are classic for this, they do it one way and you're like, okay, everything's going to be that way, and then all of a sudden there's one chord that's different. You're like, what is going on here? They're creating another way to think about that phrasing there, which is kind of cool, and you will see that plain as day in page 2. Okay, so your job tonight sit down with your ukulele and your melody and see how many chords you can squish in there and how many chords is too many chords, and then you just play through there. This is why a lot of times when people say, oh, when you get to orchestra, all I have to do is play melody, I'm always like, yeah, you don't understand how dangerous and scary playing melody is. Melody is either right or it's wrong, right? That's one thing in music I hate, is that people think there's a right way to play music and a wrong way to play music. But when you're playing melody, it's mostly true. If you don't get the melody right, people know it, and you know it, and you really have to get it accurate. Whereas when you're playing chords, you get it close, right? If you're playing chord melody, you've got some melody or chord notes to kind of cover up your mistakes. Okay? All right. So I want to play through measures 9 through 12 one last time just to make sure you see what I'm up to here. So here you go. G chord, middle finger up, ready from measure 9, ready, play. Whoops. D chord. Whole note there. I'm just going to fill it in with some decorative notes while I'm holding the same chord, and it's going to work out great. The one thing I notice is for the intro, where that C chord is, it feels darker than where the D chord is in the actual song there. The D chord feels a lot brighter and a lot happier. We were only waiting for this moment to arise. It just feels a little bit brought up a little bit. It just feels like it's brought up a little bit brighter. Linda's asking, hey, how did someone know that the chords shown are the right ones? This may be a dumb question. Linda, that question is so complex and so deep, you don't know the wisdom in which you are working. It depends. It depends on how they know. When you are writing a melody, you write down the melody, and there's only certain chords that can go with that melody because you're in a key. So we're working in the key of G, and we write down this melody. Those notes, you're not going to see a 4 anywhere in here because it doesn't fit in that key. Same thing with chords. There's only a certain number of chords that are going to fit in here that make any sense with it. You're not going to see a C sharp. You're not going to see a D. Well, D flat. There's a lot of chords you're not going to see because they won't work. They just simply won't work, and you'll end up with, this. We've been working in the key of G. I drop in this chord, whatever this is, D major 7th, I think, D minor 7th, some sort of weird. Right? That chord's not coming up. It's not going to fit anywhere in here. What will happen over time through this summer? There is a clear and a quantifiable mathematical arrangement between the notes that are in your music and the chords that go with them. So there is a real truthful mathematical relationship here. And I promise not to teach you math at any point in the summer. If you tried to put in a different chord, it just simply wouldn't work. It just doesn't work. And you're like, oh my God, what the heck, right? And so, yeah, cool chord anyway, yeah. That was in my very first musical I wrote was about a space alien who came to Earth, and things didn't work out at all. But we are da 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 da. I say da 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 da. Doing it because this shape and this shape sound pretty cool together. So yeah, and then Linda asked him more specific. Did the Beatles provide that for you? Yeah, yes, more or less. When the Beatles sat down to write this, they probably didn't think about the way we're putting it together. They're probably thinking, let's get the words together, let's get the chords together, let's get the melody together. And that process is a unifying one. You don't usually start with, here are the words, I'm going to attach a melody to them. That's not usually how it works. Usually what happens is, and Mozart was the king of this, he wrote all of these amazing melodies, and then when you know your music theory, you kind of know what chords are going to go with that. And then you mess around with the chords to come up with cool new ideas. And then he turned it over to a guy, and he wrote the words, right? Elton John works the same way. Elton John writes the music, and then a guy comes in and writes the words out to go with that melody. He says, you know what, I think this song is about a lion, and the lion has a baby, and then he's going to stand on this mountain, and they're going to overlook all of the things that lion is in charge of, and says, hey, little lion, you're going to be in charge of this one day too. And then the guy says, so what's the melody? And John plays, and he's like, okay, I think I can work that through, right? So the words are usually last thing, and the Beatles were classic for writing the dumbest words in the world. Sorry, Beatles fans. The words are sometimes absolutely nonsense because they were writing them in the studio as they were finishing up the songs. So those guys had a tendency to work, let's have a solid melody, let's find some cool chords to go with them, and then it comes together. And so, Linda, for lack of a better answer, the answer to your question, did the Beatles provide the chords to you? Yes. I think, for lack of a better answer. So not quite that simple, but yeah, basically, yeah, generally speaking, the song will provide you with their preferred chords. I will then go in and double check that I think those are the best chords for us to use. Or na 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 na. I mean, come on, fellas. We're going to be stuck with this forever. And you're writing na 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 na. Let's really quickly, we're running out of time. We are out of time. Let's talk about page 2, because I do want to talk about that very quickly. Paul McCartney doesn't read music; he works by ear. I'd say that's probably. I'm betting that's mostly myth, Elizabeth. A lot of these performers want you to believe they don't read melody, so that you think that they're just even more amazing than they are, which is crazy, right? Reading sheet music doesn't make you dumber, but also no, he's a billionaire, right? He doesn't have to read the music. He has people for that. Let's talk about the second half. Okay, melody note is a 3, chord is an F. Black, chord is a D minor. Melody is on 3. Bird, chord is a B flat. Melody note's a 3, kind of unpleasant. Fly, next chord's a C. Okay, same thing again, major 15. Black, D minor. Bird, B flat with the 3. Fly, and here's where this is crazy. It's supposed to go to a C, but John or Paul says, hey, let's go to an A. Right? It's not supposed to go there. It completely changes the nature of everything that's about to happen. And you're like, what? An A? Okay, and then the melody note's a 3. And then you're like, I don't even know why that makes any sense. And then you have this crazy run. Into the light of a dark black night. Okay? When you see something like that, probably no chords is the correct answer through that section. Dun 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 dun. Right? When you see something like that, the D minor 7th happens, no question, in measure 17, but it's on 8, so you got to put your D minor on, and then you got to put your pinky up on 8. It's going to be pretty hard to get that in proper timing, so I would probably not even mess with that chord. I'd probably just let that be melody. Dun 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 dun, and then I'd come back in with my G chord at the end of measure 17. And then I got a C chord, and then a G chord. Now I'm going to replay the whole thing. And then finally, at measure 19 and 20, I put them on here because I normally put them on. People like to have a nice, clean little ending on their songs. And so you're going to come in, bum, 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 bum. Or maybe we go a high G. Right, so give yourself a chance to write a kind of a cool G chord only ending. Don't feel restricted to this G chord. You have this G chord up here as well. And so when you take all of that in front of you. I want you to go through, spend a little bit of time. You can do it on paper or you can just do it in your head and put the arrangement together. And then tomorrow I will post my arrangement. We'll talk about that. And I think what we'll try to do is just cascade over. Here's a lead sheet. You guys put it together. Then I'll show you mine. You show me yours, and we'll see where we came up with smart ideas and dumb ideas. And then hopefully, if we do this for the next couple of months, by the end of the summer, you're writing all your own stuff. And I will show you, and more to Linda's question, how do I know these chords? How do I know this melody? What if the melody doesn't fit on the ukulele? I have a couple rules. I really want the melody to be on these two strings if possible, so that I can use this one for harmony and chords. And I certainly don't like this note, right? I hate that note. So I try never to use any note above 10. Right? So when you get your sheet music, what happens if it goes below middle C or it goes above fret 10? How are you going to deal with that? Well, that's part of the next few months. We're going to talk about arranging challenges, and believe me, every song has an arranging challenge. And so I have a sort of a toolbox of things to give to you as well about how do you go about getting the thing to fit on a ukulele. What happens when it goes too high? What happens when it goes too low? How do you deal with that? And so that's all this stuff we're going to be working on. A little bit more heady, a little bit more stuff. And for some of you, you're like, not my thing. Your job will be to figure out how to play Blackbird, right? And to make it your best version of Blackbird. And I don't think, and I want to emphasize this enough, just playing the straight melody is plenty. If you can knock this melody out where you don't have to worry about making mistakes, probably the first time through, every last one of us crashed when you saw 10, 8, 5, 8, 5, 5, 3, 1. That's not just sitting on, not a skill set you just magically have. And so, again, playing lots and lots of melody and then seeing where you can toss these chords in, and you'll see. So tomorrow, I will bring in my arrangement, you'll bring in your arrangement, and we'll see those places where you came up with a cooler idea than I did. And will I change mine? Probably not. But will you know, hey, Gary did it this way, but he should have done it this way, right? And you get a little bit of attitude about it, about being this, I'm so much better at composing than Gary. We will come to this place where we have you being able to pick up, songs and really think through if the arrangement makes sense. So, I already like your arrangement better than mine. So that's where we're headed. Will mention, I know I'm past time, but we are going to have major changes in the schedule for the summer. Mostly, what's going to happen is the ukulele class is going to get pushed to 4 o'clock, and I'm going to encourage you to also join the 5 o'clock ensemble class, and then we will have the heavy-duty Monday nights with the jazz stuff. So we're going to move off of the daytime, middle of the day time slot, and move it to later in the afternoon. That's going to run into some of your dinner times. I know that already. That's going to pretty much take the Europeans out, but of course we'll always have archives and that sort of stuff. But I want to start moving the schedule where it makes sense for me and for to give me a little bit more time to write stuff and a little bit more time for. Well, I got stuff to do around here that have not gotten done in the last year. And in summertime, you guys are going to be going on vacation, hopefully, theoretically, and you're going to be, doing stuff outside. So we're going to have fewer classes, but more intense classes is sort of my thought. And you'll send me emails about what's going to make your life good and not good and that sort of thing. Obviously, anytime we make a change in the schedule, some people drop off and some people are added on. And that's just the nature of living on this planet. So hopefully you guys had a good day. Hopefully something that I said today made sense. Tomorrow we'll dig into how I would arrange this. The other thing to pay attention to is once a lead sheet gets arranged by me, it stops being a lead sheet forever. Okay, so I'll put my idea on there, and then it'll be on our website as a fully realized arrangement. And so those of you guys who are like, nah, I'm just not into doing that activity, you will end up with a full arranged version of Blackbird. Okay, that's enough for today. Sorry to keep you over. I apologize. I'm going to try not to do that very often. And let's see, where did I leave off? Let's see. Pam says, I'm excited about trying this, hoping I might be able to learn to create tabs from some of these uke books I had picked up. And that don't have a tab, and I'm not a reader of standard notation. Exactly. You know that book, A Daily Ukulele? It has 365 songs. It has the melody and the chords. You're gonna write those tabs out now, guys. I mean, most of you own that book, right? And you're like, well, this isn't, I don't know what to do with this. You will know by the summer. You'll know what to do with this, right? I have tons and tons of fake books that I just pull up a song, type in the melody, and then start my arrangement, right? The melody doesn't change, so it's perfectly fine to do that. And then you bring your artistic sensibility to it. So yeah, all those books that you guys bought over the years that don't really have what you thought they had in them, you're gonna, as long as they've got a melody line in there, I'm gonna teach you how to turn that into good tablature. Yeah, he plays piano, right? Don't tell me a piano player doesn't read music. Don't tell me that that's true, because it's probably not. Let's see. A challenge like Moonglow, right, Cindy? It's coming along. I almost got it. Kat, that was great. Thanks, Kat. Good to see you. Red, I already like your arranger better than mine. Here you go, Red. Have a great day, Red. Lynn, I should just, at this point, I should just give Moonglow back to Cindy. Here, you do it. Okay, all right, Evelyn. Yeah, it is going to be interesting. It's going to be good for Evelyn, especially you. It's on guitar as well. You're going to find out. Shoot, I don't even need Gary. Ronnie, great class. Thanks, Gary. Hope to see you next time. Yeah, I do apologize, Ronnie. I was really, really wanting to go have lunch with you, and it just wasn't going to happen. But it was a pretty rough weekend, to be honest. Michelle, challenge. Yep, give it a try, guys. You're going to fail a lot in the beginning, right? Just like you failed a lot in the beginning of learning to play. Now you're going to fail a lot making some arrangements for yourself, but not for long. It's pretty straightforward, honestly. Elizabeth, I'm with Red. All right, Vic. Thanks, Aaron. Great lesson. Good to see you, Vic. Have a great day. Chris, you're welcome. Elizabeth, thanks, Elizabeth, for being here. Cindy, let's see. Love the new. It's something different, right? Something different to work on. Clay, you bet. Critter, good to see you. Carol. I'm gonna run out of challenges eventually, guys. Pretty soon, I'm like, I don't know what to tell them. Tell them to play faster. That's about the last challenge. Amy, have a great day. Vicky, it'll be a fun summer. You guys are gonna be good at the end. You're already good, right? You're already good. So now we're going to turn you into composers, which is super. Which is an amazing place to go. Nancy, this will be wonderful learning. Absolutely. Lynn, more thumbs up. Oh yeah, hit the thumbs up, you guys. Jacqueline, come home once in a while. Jeez Louise. Diane, it'll be another challenge, Diane. Right? I just keep throwing them at you. Another great day. Excited. All right. Oh, good. That's exciting, Pam. I'm glad that'll work out for you. Terry, good to see you, buddy. Oh yeah, I forgot. On Friday we'll play my favorite songs according to you. How about that? I'll go through the emails were pretty funny. Yes, on Friday we'll set up play Gary's favorite songs according to you guys. It was a funny list. Mostly it was right. So yeah, good question, Amy. We'll get that done on Friday. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. I'm gonna go to the dentist again, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.